All right, so welcome everyone and thank you for joining. We are the Product Success Team. I am Rodney.
And I am Lex.
And today we'll be going over the cashier sharing feature for Aldelo Express. Again, if you have any questions, please keep your questions related to the topic at hand. Please keep yourselves muted during the presentation. However, if you do have an immediate question, you can ask your questions in the chat. We will be monitoring the chat as always. Otherwise, you can ask your questions verbally when we open up the floor for questioning. Just make sure to unmute yourselves at that time. Okay, so the cashier sharing feature allows slave stations or peripheral stations to process transactions by different employees under the open cashier bank from the master cashier station. Because the transactions are processed under one bank, regardless of which device they were processed from, the transactions are managed under that bank. Managed meaning gratuities from transactions processed by multiple employees across the multiple slave stations are adjusted under the cashier on the master cashier station. Employee tip payouts are still distributed to the order creator. And because there's only one cashier, there is only one cashier report. And then when closing out, the cashier closeout procedure is performed from the master cashier station. However, businesses can have multiple master stations, and in a larger environment, restaurants can have cashier sharing set up on the front and the back of the restaurant, or even if they have a second floor outdoor patio that has multiple devices, they can set up the cashier sharing, sorry. And excuse me. In this scenario, slave stations are restricted to the master stations they are assigned to. And this is regarding the payment of each ticket. So an order created from, let's say, the first master station group can be paid for on the second master cashier station group. But that order will be eventually managed at the end of the day from the second master cashier station group. Now, the cashier sharing feature is available across all platforms. You can set the master cashier station up on iPads, Android tablets, and Android mobile devices. And you can completely mix and match the master-slave relationship across all platforms. Now, in order to set up cashier sharing, the first step is to know your device numbers. You need to know which device will be the master and which device or devices will be the slave devices. Then from the device set up on the cloud, you only need to make changes from the slave devices. Under those devices, you need to enable the slave cashier feature. Then from there, you'll be able to define the master cashier device by its device number. You do not need to make any changes to the intended master device. Now, typically, cash transactions are limited to be processed from the master station. That's where the physical cash tray is set up. However, slave stations can be set up to process cash transactions. But by default, the do not open cash tray on the master station and the do not allow cash tender are enabled. Both these settings can be independently adjusted. So if the open cash drawer is allowed, the cash drawer will pop after transactions and during the cashier in and cashier out process. And if the cashier tender is allowed, the slave stations can accept cash transactions as well. As for the other available tenders, they are allowed by default, but can be disabled as well. So they can limit which tenders are acceptable from those slave devices. Now, after saving all the changes, you need to make sure to sync the devices to pick up the changes. Then cashier in from the master device. So when transactions are processed, they will be recorded under the defined master station's cashier. If multiple master stations need to be set up, they just need to follow the previous 4 steps on this page, and then just designate a different master cashier station device number. All right, so with that, do we have any questions in the chat, Lex? All right, so I will go ahead and hand it over to Lex.
All right, as you can see, we have 3 devices here. We have a PAX E700 using the Android tablet. We also have a SUMI device using the Android mobile and also an iPad using the iOS. Currently, all devices can cashier in. I have not made any changes. The way that you can tell is if I enter in my access code, we're going to click on the three dots. You'll see that the cashier is available. We're also going to check the SUNY device. I'm going to scroll up and then click on the three dots. You'll see that the cashier is also available there. And also on the E700 as well. You'll see that the cashier is also available here as well. Now, all three stations can process credit cards using the E700. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to switch the PAX E700 as the main station. The way to find out is we're going to go into the system, and then we're going to click on the three lines on the top left-hand corner, and you'll see that device number is 950. I also listed the device number below. The client stations, I do also need to find out what the device number is as well. So the SUNY is 935, and the iPad is device number 21. All right, so we're going to switch screens here. What we're going to do is we're going to search for the client stations. We're going to go to settings and then device config, and we're going to search for the device number, so which is device number 21, which is the iPad. And we're going to click on cashier sharing. We're going to enable slave cashier feature. We're going to say yes there. And then on the master cashier, we're just going to enter in 950, which is the E700. And also these are optional for you, the cashier tender. So these are disabled by default, but you can't turn them on by just putting no here. In this case, we're going to go ahead and just enable these. We're going to go ahead and save. All right, and then we do have another device. We're going to look for device number 935, which is the SUNY. We're going to click on cashier sharing, and then we're going to enable save feature. We're going to select the device number here, which is 950, and we're going to leave the features alone here. We're going to go ahead and save. All right, so once we have done that, we're going to sync the iPads and the Android mobiles and the Android tablet. So we're going to start over on the iPad real quick. And then I'm just going to order and place an order. All right, so we're going to enter in an item, and we're just going to click on the settle button. As you can see, it says please cashier in on master device. So we're going to cashier in on the E700. Okay, we're going to click on cashier. We're going to enter in the amount. All right, so once I'm cashiered in, we're going to go ahead and just sync the other devices here. We're going to sync on the iPad and also the SUNY device here. All right, so the order is here. So we're going to click on it, and then we're going to click on the settle button. And from here, I'm just going to click on credit card. We're going to process my credit card on the left. And then we're going to close the check. We're going to do the same thing on the SUNY device. We're going to enter in my access code here. And let's go ahead and place an order. So new order, dine in, select the table. And let's add one more item in here. Okay, and then we're gonna click on the settle button. And then from here, we're gonna select the credit card option. We're gonna go ahead and process the credit card on the E700. And let's go ahead and close out the check. And then if we need to update the tips, we can go back to the main cashier. We're going to click on the three dots. We're going to click on cashier. And then we're going to go to edit gratuity. We should be able to see the two transactions that we just ran. And now we can adjust the tips. And if we go back to the iPad, as you can see, the cashier is grayed out. Now we can go ahead and pay out the employee. So we're going to tip the person out here. And then we can sign out. Okay, so now we're gonna switch the cash register, the main cash register. So we're gonna enable the Zoom. So the Zoom device is device number 935 here. We're gonna go to the back office. We're gonna click on device config. And the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna search for the 935 device. We're going to turn off the cashier sharing. We're gonna say no here. I'm gonna go ahead and say yes. All right, so now we're gonna go back and then click on device number 21. We're gonna click on cashier share. And then from here, we're just gonna change the device number here from 950 to 935, then save. And then we're gonna look for device number 950. We're gonna enable cashier sharing here. We're gonna say yes, and then add 935 to this here. All right, so let's go ahead and save again. All right, so let's go ahead and sync all of the devices. All right, so if I try to cashier in on the E700, you'll see that the cashier is grayed out. And also the iPad, if I click on the three dots, you'll see that cashier is grayed out, but I can log into the Zoom device here. And then if we click on the three dots, you'll see that I have the ability to cashier in. So we're going to go ahead and cashier in here. Let's start off with $2. All right, so once that is cashiered in, I can place an order on the iPad. Right, so let's go ahead and add an item in here. Okay, so let's go ahead and settle. And let's do credit card again. Let's process on the E700. And let's close out the check. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing on the E700. We're going to click on the order. Go ahead and add a hamburger here. We'll click on the settle button. And let's do credit card again here. All right. So I'm going to insert the chip in this time. And let's close out the check. Okay, so now if I need to adjust the tips, I do need to go back to the SUMI device. I'm going to click on the three dots. And then we're going to go to Cashier. And then on the left, we're going to click on Edit Gratuity. We should see two transactions. Now I'm going to go ahead and enter in the tip on this first transaction here. And then let's go ahead and enter the tip on the second transaction. All right, so now we're going to click on the, we're going to tip out the employee here. Going to pay out, and then on the bottom, we're going to click on the person down there, and then we're going to click on tip out. And then from here, we're going to come back to the cashier, and we're going to close out of the cash register as well. So we're going to sign out, and then cashier out now. Okay, so now the last one is we're going to enable the master cashier on the iPad as well. So we're going to go to the back office. We're going to search for device number 21. We're going to disable the cashier feature here. We're going to say no there. We're going to go ahead and click save. And then now we can search for device number 950 and then enable cashier sharing. We're just changing the master cashier device number here from 935 to 21. We're going to go ahead and click save. And then we have one more device, which is the device number 935. We're going to go to cashier sharing. We're going to go ahead and enable this feature and then type in device number 21. We're also going to leave these two alone here. I'm going to go ahead and click save. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and sync all of the iPads, or all of the devices, I mean. Now, if I enter an access code on the SUMNI, go to the three dots, as you will see that cashier is grayed out here. And the same thing on the E700, the cashier is grayed out here as well. I'll place an order in here. All right, so I'm going to enter an item in here. Let's go ahead and settle. You'll see it says please cashier in on master device number 21. So we're going to enter in our access code on device number 21, which is iPad. I'm going to click on the three dots, and then we're going to cashier in here. We're going to start off with $20 here. All right, so we're going to sync the device here. We're also going to sync the SUMI device as well. All right, so we're going to go and click settle. It's going to, if it's a cash, it's going to say that this device does not allow a cash tender. So we're going to click on credit card here. Right, so we're also going to enter in an access code on the SUMI device. Right, so we're going to select the table that's open. And so we're going to add a hamburger here. And let's go ahead and add one more item in here as well. So let's go click on the settle button. Okay. And then we're going to select credit card. All right, so you can see it processed the credit card here successfully. I'm going to go ahead and close out the check. Oh, oops, sorry about that. I accidentally click on done. So let's go ahead, enter an access code again. We got to close out the check. So we're going to go ahead, go back to the order. And then we're going to click on the settle button on the bottom. And then close check. All right. So now if I need to update the tips, I can go in here to the iPad. I can also process additional order in here as well. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to select this table here. Let's do a burger steak again. And then we're going to click on credit card. All right. And then from here, we can just close out the check. Now, if we need to update the tips, I do need to do it from the iPad. So we're going to click on Cashier. And then click on Edit Gratuity. There should be 3 transactions here. Okay, and then one more here. All right, so we're going to go ahead and pay out. We're going to tip out 2 employees. And then 1 for Lex. And then now we can sign out. We can cashier out. And then it's going to process the transactions in here. All right. And then from here, we're going to go ahead and close out the batch. So we're going to go end of day. We're going to click on card batch management on the top. You'll see that I ran 7 transactions on one device, which is the E700. I can close the batch on all devices. All right, so does anyone have any questions?
All right, so I've also included in the chat our link to our YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe, and we will see you next week.